welcome to Certified Talk. You know, the new source where we're gonna come and be able to give you information based on products. You're gonna be able to get um quality reviews, quality information from all different parts of the world. So if you need something to to tailor towards your specific area, we feel like we'll be able to have somebody hit those needs. And so the first thing we want to do is introduce how we all came about, meeting each other, and that's through the Certified Ganjier program. That program is probably one of the most highly touted programs in the country right now, and that's just more so off of the quality of the teachers who put the program together, mixed with the enthusiasm and the status of the students throughout the country who all make up the organization. And so certified ganjiers are here to advance the cannabis plant. We all have a passion, not just as users, but we all have a passion for the good that this plant is going to do for everybody. And so my name is Larry Paul. I'm out of New Jersey, and I'm going to be your host for today. Before we get to what I do and all of that, we're going to go around to the rest of our amazing panel. So you'll be able to get to know everybody that we're going to be talking to on a monthly basis. And, y'all really going to get to understand who we are and how we do things. And so without further ado, the first person we're going to go to is Logan Wood. Logan, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, Larry?
So tell us a little bit about yourself, man. What brought you to this space, and who are you?
Yeah, I'm Logan. I am the first, and as far as I know right now, it's still the only certified ganjier in the state of Indiana. I found the ganjier program through avenues through the organic growing side of things, and really kind of once I discovered who all was behind it, I absolutely had to get involved.
That's it. And if you had to say one somebody that inspired you the most, like the one teacher who probably got you to really push the button, who was the person or that inspired you the most to do it?
There's two. It was tied between Kevin and Frenchie. So Kevin Jodry
Wow.
and Frenchie. I once I saw they were both involved, I was like, that's it. Like, I I got to apply. Like, I have to. I,
Amazing, man. I hear that same thing from a lot of different people. And so Logan, what do you do in the space? What is your specialty?
so I'm a jack of all trades for real. But at the current moment, I sit as the education director on the Indiana Cannabis Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. We're looking
Mm,
at framing the cannabis industry here. If you don't know, Indiana is has no cannabis industry outside of like CBD and then our unregulated Delta 8 and other those type of products, novel cannabinoids, I believe is the term we're using now. Um,
that's
but yeah, so we're looking at building out policy, licensing, all kinds of things like that, packaging rules, the whole nine.
That's it. Well, Logan, I can't wait to unpack all the trades that you do have, being that I know that you have, so much growing knowledge, and we're gonna make sure our audience gets to know all of our specialties and all of our nicks and knacks that we do know. But the next ganjier that I want to introduce is Ryan Kofer. So Ryan, if you don't mind, um, introduce yourself to us. Where are you from? What brought you to the ganjier space?
How's it going, everybody? My name's Ryan Kofer. I'm out of Kingman, Arizona. Born and raised, been here my whole life. Um, what got me into cannabis was medicine. I was a certified welder in another lifetime for a little over a decade and put my body through some shit and mistreated it and consumed legal drugs, such as alcohol and tobacco and all the things that are sanctioned and said that are okay for us and really did damage to my body. And once I got some things that I needed to handle, all that had to come to a close. And I found that cannabis was really the one thing that alleviated almost all the symptoms that I was dealing with. And it was the one thing that I recognized wasn't doing damage to my body, including pharmaceuticals. I was on a cocktail of over a dozen pharmaceutical drugs trying to treat the stuff that I was doing,
Mm.
um, and wasn't working. It was causing more damage. So cannabis was my outlet. It was my escape. It was my reformation. So I have a really deep connection to the plant. Um, I always kind of viewed it as drug, and then once I got sick personally, then I saw the other side. I gained a new perspective, and that was really beneficial. I think just for my own outlook on the plant, and it made me develop a deeper relationship and a deeper understanding of what it is. I've been studying it for a long time. Uh, my wife used it medicinally before I ever needed to. So before I dealt with it personally as medicine, I recognized that it was medicine, but I
Mm,
didn't. It's different when you experience something yourself, right? When you go through it yourself, you're like, fuck, man, I get it now. So it's kind of that. But again, like Logan said, it was Kevin Jodrey. All my research on the plant and all the things I was interested in, that man right there, he was speaking gospel every time I'd watch a video, or I was fortunate enough to see him in person when I learned about the Ganjier program. So I was in Humboldt County at the Regenerative Conference. Thank you, Dutch Blooms, for doing that. That shit's amazing. I'm glad that you're expanding it, moving on to new avenues. But that was a great start. It was my introduction to the culture, the real culture. Not just as a cannabis consumer, but as like the cannabis culture, the
mhm,
motherland, Humboldt, Trinity, Mendocino, all that whole vibe. It's different. It's otherworldly. It's not something that I had ever really experienced before. I'd been in different kind of things in society, different little outlets or whatever, but any hobby or any team or any sport, anything that I had been part of, it never quite felt like the Ganjier program. So it's definitely thanks to Kevin. Frenchie, of course. I love watching Frenchie's history,
mm,
coming from a newfound medicinal love of the plant, and, understanding it from Frenchie's perspective about how he traveled the world and saw the different regions of where the plant grew and how it expressed because of where it was, not necessarily of human hands, not necessarily of anything going on other than that's where the plant was, so that's how it
mm.
expressed itself. And
Yeah, no, and being that we all had the experience of going to that area to complete our training and certification, we can all
man,
agree with how magical that place is. You know what I mean? The energies coming together to create what we've created, we can already tell you is special, right? So
yeah.
so now we know the unity part of it, but Ryan, what separates you? What do you specialize in this space that makes it a little bit different, or what would you like to be known for in the cannabis space?
My focus is on genetics. um, I grew up in livestock and agriculture. It wasn't necessarily plants or farming or food. We had our whatever you want to call it, just your backyard gardens or stuff, growing tomatoes and sunflowers and fun stuff like that. But I was always around livestock my whole life, from rabbits and chickens, cattle, pigs, horses, everything. That was part of my life. That is part of what I did. And I was in 4-H for 10 years. And I put together multiple different breeding programs, of different animals, livestock. Uh, a weird kind of way to look at it is called carcass contest. When I would raise an animal for market, the whole intention of raising that animal was to harvest it, right? That was the whole purpose. And it's very similar. I find these similar ties to the cannabis world. The whole reason we grow this plant is to harvest it because it has a purpose. It is
Mm,
doing something for us. We put this energy and this intention into it, and we get to reap what we sow, and but in a
mm,
beneficial and in a positive way.
mm.
So carcass contest with an animal is where you see the animal that you and your group of friends raised your animals, and they're all slaughtered and hanging up on the hooks, and you are looking at the meat. You're looking at the structure of the animal, how well it was put together. You're looking at the marbling and the fat content, so that you know that a the way that it was fed, its diet was proper. And we recognize that going through this Ganjier program, that there is a certain element of when the human puts in the correct things and gives it the right environment, and treats it a certain way, you reach this higher level. You reach this above the plateau, and you see up above that. And I recognize that in livestock, and reptiles was another huge thing that I was into. My wife and I, that was a big hobby of ours. We got into exotic animals, parrots, but mostly reptiles. So I see that when the human takes this on and takes this endeavor, and they put that intention into the craft, it takes you to another level. And that's what was really inspiring me to the Ganjier program, and where I want to put my intention into the genetics is I want to pay attention to the minute particulars, the little things, the small details that all come together and make the whole package something special. So
That's it.
I'm going around, I'm collecting seeds, I'm collecting cuts, I'm talking to people, I'm learning this culture from the inside, the greatest vantage point I could ever possibly think of, thanks to the Ganjier program. And so I'm stuffing, I'm cramming, I'm learning as much as I can, but my intention is wholeheartedly in genetics with real medicinal effect and nuance and complexity, because I've been smoking weed for a long time, and so has everybody else. And we all know that the market is great and we have a lot of awesome things out there, but we've lost something along the way.
Mm.
And I think it's really been intention and attention to detail, and and the
And
the
we ready to get it back.
humanity of it. That's what
That's
was great
it.
about this Ganjier thing. This is bringing the humanity back to the plant, because this plant is an amazing companion for the human species, and my knowledge of livestock for all species. This plant is here on this planet for life. It
Mm.
is a companion for life. We should be feeding our food this plant. We should be ingesting this plant. Our weird perspective, and I'm not going to admit to nothing, and I don't do anything illegal. I do follow the law, but I think our children should be consuming this plant. I think there's a lot of developmental disabilities that, if it wasn't in a psychoactive form, as in
Hmm.
CBD, or as
Yeah.
in raw bioavailability, as in ways that the child is not getting high or experiencing a different mindset, I
Mm.
see absolutely 100% positive value in that.
And that's not
CBD.
as
Children,
and that's not
that's
as far fetched or even far from understanding as people might think, because I worked
no,
in a medical dispensary in Pennsylvania, and even in Pennsylvania we had children medical patients that were 11, 14 that got to do vapes, and we even had 16 and 17-year-olds that got cannabis THC products, and these are
yeah.
legal. They get scripts and things like that for their parents. But without further ado, I want to make it to our next Gangier, and that's going to be Enos Fonder. So, Enos, what's up, brother? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you from? Who are you?
Hey, yo, what's up? What's up? Yeah, that's right. And it's the Alchemist Ganjier. Uh,
Ooh.
I yeah, I'm down here in Virginia, Roanoke. I got into the Ganjier space uh, because in a way, I was always kind of there, and uh, and then COVID. Um, I kind of I grew up super naive, very mentally like sheltered about cannabis. I didn't know anything about it. Didn't toke until college, and then when I finally like did toke for the first time, and it helped with so many things I was experiencing, like anxieties and all this other stuff. I was like, holy crap. And I started applying what I was learning in college, like this, I mean, the like, ability to research into just learning everything I could about cannabis. And I had decided in college, like, I'm going to work in the cannabis space. Don't know exactly how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And this is like early 2000s, so there wasn't exactly a whole lot of a cannabis space to be there. So I was like, you know what, I'll just wait. I had majored in psychology and just went into the mental health space, and was a counselor for like the last 10 years. Well, 10 years up to COVID. And um, And then I honestly, by the time I'd gotten to that point, I was like doing so much in the mental health space, I'd gotten kind of absorbed there that I had almost like given up on the idea of working really in the cannabis space. And it was just like, well, maybe you can do mental health, or I don't know, like focus on making money, because mental health isn't exactly the most lucrative field, like when you're like trying to help people and whatnot. But you still do it because you care, and because it builds like a lot of really good soft skills. But I was actually planning to travel the world, teaching English as a foreign language before COVID happened, and I was actually completing my TOEFL certification and going through all of that process, and then literally as I was wrapping up the certification, COVID locked down everything, and including like the TOEFL program. That basically my only option was going to be like teaching people like from a computer, which I wasn't exactly too like jived with. So I was just like, okay, well, I'll I'll focus. I guess I'll like do some of this like telehealth stuff with counseling and whatnot. But then they ended up like laying everybody off, and like I kind of, I don't know, it was like a lot of people lost like during COVID. It's just I had a lot of family members that got sick from COVID and had the after effects. Like my grandmother had a stroke.
Mm.
My fiance, she had gotten COVID to the extent that like we were nearing the point of needing to go to the hospital, but we knew like the hospitals in our area were full. Um, and it was at that point that I was getting a lot more involved with cannabis. They had recently decriminalized it, so like access has gotten a lot better, and I was able to get different cultivars and try different types, and I knew about the difference between like the more stimulating like sativas, like or the more relaxing indicas. I was really starting to like learn about like the nuances like amongst this, and outside that there's like cultivars that could affect you like Adderall. That there are cultivars that could either help you relax and just chill and watch a movie, or fully relax and sedate to go to sleep, or even deeper, have something that has almost an opiate effect, where like your body is now feeling relieved of neuropathic pain, and it's really blowing my mind. And I was just like, hey, you know what? This COVID, like maybe there's something that can come out of this. And I was like, like can't travel the world or whatever, but I can like still try and do something that's good here. And with my grandmother, after she had her stroke, her like a whole left side of her body was like severely like I guess like atrophied, and all the physical therapy was just like making it really, really tight and uncomfortable, and it was immobilizing her. It was a point where she like couldn't get up out of her chair without like significant like effort and help. And I made a salve out of infused cannabis oil, and I like gave it to her like to try out, and like rubbed it on her ankles and like her leg and her knees, whatever. And I mean, her ankle, which was almost twice the size of her other ankle, literally deflated like a balloon in front of us. And within a few minutes, she was able to stand up on her own. And granted, this was like a specific application in a specific situation where like this like really was able to help so much. It's not like some miracle like drug, but there was something so miraculous about it that like there was nothing else that she was taking that could have helped her. She was taking 7 other medications that weren't helping, and this helped.
Mm.
And it's like, you know what, there's something here. And then going off of the salve idea, I made some bath bombs that were infused. And when she was like having her fever, like it was starting to spike, like infused this whole bathtub with CBD and THC, and with like her getting into it, like her fever started to break from it, and she ended up doing it like 6 more times over the course of that week to help like manage the pain she was experiencing. And granted, I'm not like trying to like make these like all these medical claims. This is anecdotal. This is our experience with it, with the things that we made. But in seeing that, I decided that like this is a path that I have to pursue. I set it aside before when I shouldn't have. And at this point, I'm seeing all of these different concoctions that I'm making at home that are creating an effect that is so much more than what we're getting at stores or over the counter prescription. So I started like crazy researching into everything I could about gaining more education in cannabis. Just like I get certified in TEFL, I can get certified in cannabis, but I need to do the best program that I can possibly find. So I went through and I vetted all these different programs. Like I sampled all of these different things, and all of it had this kind of like YouTube, Wikipedia kind of like it felt fake. It felt like they were just you paying for a piece of paper. And
Gimmicky.
and yeah, like and then I was watching High Rollers and like like there was talking about all these different things, and I'm just like, this guy, he really gets it. Like, man, if there was something that he was doing, I would definitely be about it. And then yeah, like so cannabis I saw this in cannabis legalization news, and they were talking about this Ganjier certification, and that there's this like master course in becoming like a sommelier.
Mm.
And so I started looking into the program, and I started like looking into the people that they were like getting involved in it. And I recognized some of them. Like I saw Derek, I got really excited. And I to be perfectly honest, I did not know Kevin Jodry was before this program. I had seen him in a couple of different things, but like he's really good at staying under the radar.
Don't feel bad.
But
Neither
once I
did I,
started
bro.
researching and like into like the stuff that like that he's into, like in like the research he's done, like his grasp on things, really had me. And then Swami Titania, when I started really looking into like just like his
Go.
whole philosophy on cannabis, like the spiritual connection, is
Mm.
something that I really like bonded with. Yeah, I became a Ganjier. Like it really felt like I mean like freaking Hogwarts, that like that. I mean, I felt like I had discovered magic, and then I learned how to use the magic. And
Mm.
that's been my focus right now. It's really just try to like spread like the power and like the magic, and help people like see that cannabis is a fantastic thing. That's why like education is one of my biggest points, but also in helping uplift the community.
Mm.
Like my
So
like I
you
work
just
with.
rolled into what your specialty is. So what's your specialty?
Yes, and a specialty, yes. Like it's like education points, like in really helping people like understand the benefits of cannabis, the power of it, and also like the what comes with those nuances of it. And like one of the big things that like I'm working on like in the community is helping businesses getting off their feet in terms of like actually having like good procedures, good knowledge. There's a lounge that I was working with on like a contractual basis to try and help them get started, because like they knew well about how to generally do like an event, but not exactly how to do like a very cannabis focused event, like the types of things, the types of needs that people would have and how they differ, and also like creating a good ambiance for that. Also working with local growers, like really helping them finesse their techniques and like get the most out of their cannabis, and like really helping up the educational side on that part, like because there are a lot of people that don't have any real concept of like how to properly try a cure. and and most of this is
That
like
can
all
ruin
just
your harvest.
is just trying to like really just trying to do whatever I can to help the community. I know that the cannabis industry and all the mainstream has been talking a lot about like all this money that's coming into it, and money's going to be great, and I look forward to doing many more like profitable things, but like I feel like the very first point is like doing whatever I can to help people. So I started this program. It's more of a project. It's called Joints for Change, and with that, what I do is I work with local growers in the area that have like good growing practices. They don't like that. They have like good post product, and I get their larf, their smaller bud that they're not going to use for like they're going to use for something random, like, oh, I'm going to make a bunch of concentrate, like, and try and do it all at once or whatever, like to donate it to this program. And what I do with this, like I pick through and like get all the flour out of it to make flower hand roll joints to then pass out to like the homeless people in the area and people that are having a really hard time, like towards the end of the day, to kind of help them like relax into the days. Because I with a lot of these people in the area, you know when it's like getting later in the day, and you're going to be sleeping outside, pretty much anything is going to like really help give you some relief. And I utilize some of my skills as a ganjier to help with facilitating that. So I'm able to discern whether your cannabis is going to be, relaxing or stimulating, how it's going to help, be able to craft joints that like can really help them, like, like just find some relief, you know?
I mean, I feel like that's what every joint is for, right? To find some relief, regardless of what that relief is for and what you're going through in that moment. Sometimes the relief is anxiety. Sometimes the relief is joint pain. Sometimes the relief is I can't go to sleep. So that relief changes, right? But hey, you can't hurt nobody by handing out joints, right? And so
Yeah.
that's something that we absolutely respect, and we want to make sure that we continue to try to help you support that and grow that mission. So Kelly, how you doing? Being the lady of our group, and we appreciate your presence here, Kelly. And can you explain to us who you are and what you see for the cannabis space, and where you from?
Yeah, so I'm a certified consultant and a bud tender in Long Beach, California. I am saying for this space, just like community, but also just like education. I want to like focus on that as I just see it's just so important. Like my just everyday customers, just not knowing things like there have been a few more that have been like asking more questions, but just the level of like just language about the plant is just like I really just want to help them with that and just up their like how they're talking about the plant and just get inspired and like be more curious about what goes into this all factors into their overall product and not just trying to go for indica sativa, but like how was it grown, like who grew it, and like terpenes, all that sort of thing. So I but anyways, besides that, I grew up in SoCal. I come from a just very conservative background, uh, Christian school up from kindergarten to college. Had like no access to weed whatsoever. Um, the only time like I looked at saw weed was like on Twitter in high school, but thought it looked ugly. It was very bad photos, so I like didn't have a second thought about it. Um, and so like my husband introduced it to me on our honeymoon and we took some edibles and not a lot, but I was like, this is interesting. This is kind of different. I'm kind of curious as to like what goes into this plant and like why gave me this feeling and like how can I have a better dose to have a better experience? Probably. So after that, like I went home and like researched and but then COVID happened, so then I got to have more time to research and experiment and really fun time for sure. Just being at home trying edibles and things. I was a bit nervous for smoking because of just how I grew up. But then I got a job at a manufacturer distributor in Long Beach, and that kind of just went from 0 to 100 in terms of like weed for me because I went from seeing no weed to seeing like all the weed and selling so much of it like I thought I was gonna puke, but you know and from there they promoted the Ganjier program in my works like break room, and I was like, this looks kind of cool. The like the lettering, kind of Jungle Book, very much Disney. So when I will hear, yeah. Um, and I was like, so I went home and I was like looking up and I was like, babe, like this is such a cool program. Like I can learn more about weed and like become like a sommelier. And I love food too, and I love cooking. So it was like I would probably rather do this than being a wine sommelier. I'm too fancy, you know. I want to be casual. So this is where we're at. And so I applied. I was like, wasn't sure I get in just because of my background, but obviously I graduated and here we are and or done the program and graduated. So yep.
That's
And
it. Now you're a superhero.
yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's how I look at us. I look at us as superheroes, you know what I mean? And when I say that, it's because we all really already did something before cannabis, and then we were exposed to it, and then it changed us, you know what I mean? It started to change who we are, and we started to incorporate it into who we are, you know what I mean? And then we did that solo in our separate spaces in the shadows, right? And then we finally got a network where we feel like we've created a community, a safe space, no matter, and even though we separate, I feel like I'm stronger because of the Ganjier community, you know what I mean? And so I like I love that. It's like that's everything to me. And so Kelly, like what would you say you would want your specialty to be? But what do you see for yourself using your certification, and what do you want it to become? What do you want to get from it?
I see myself training retail staff in dispensaries. I'm working on a business plan thanks to Larry. He has helped me so much to get me that. But so I am trying to just get myself solidified in that. But yeah, I just because I not only does new vendors like need the education of cannabis knowledge, but managers as well. Just in how my own manager talks about cannabis, it's just like she knows some, but I feel like she could really use like a better vocabulary. Just she's so busy, don't have tons of time to talk with her and meet with her, but I hoping to do that just other dispensaries and just really especially in Long Beach right now, just staying there and kind of grow up from there. um and I'm also hoping to like do some events as well, hopefully at some point, either just like me going in person dispensaries or just at cannabis events having a table and talking about cannabis. And then my long-term goal is to have my own dispensary and lounge and really just bring the community together and celebrate just each and every aspect of life. And like people that do music, I want to have like music nights and like art nights and
That's it.
sport
You
nights
want to
maybe.
create your
um,
community vibe.
yeah, just definitely just celebrating like this other part of aspects to say besides just cannabis, but enjoying cannabis while doing those things. So
No,
and
that's amazing. I'm actually glad you keep saying language or vocabulary because it's very important. Like anytime you go to get education on something, really what you're learning is the language of that, right? Like when I went to school for accounting, I learned the language of business and finance, you know what I mean? And so
yeah,
when you go to school and when you learn something, you really are learning that language, you know what I mean? And so I guess we're gonna transition into the last Gangier that we haven't gone through, and that would be me. And so I'm Larry Paul. I'm out of Trenton, New Jersey, and there are many things that have led me to this plant. My cultural background, my mom was a advocate of the plant, and so naturally I was gonna be in a cannabis friendly household, and that's kind of how I grew up. It was always something that was accepted in my culture. When I was growing up, I was an athlete, and so I really didn't smoke as much as a lot of people did up until I turned 19. Now, when I turned 19, my mom got sick. I came back home from college to help out with stuff like that, and that's when I really got in depth with the cannabis culture. I started being a heavy consumer. And then through your 19 and your early 20s, you're dealing with a lot of depression, emotions, and things you don't understand. And it helped me compartmentalize, the things that I was going through. I lost my mom at 22 years old. And so it was one of those things that helped me because even when you have people around you, we always have that mindset. If you don't go through it, you don't understand, right? And so there was moments where I wasn't allowing people in to, comfort me, talk to me and things like that. And when I was having those thoughts, cannabis was my medicine. It was those things to keep my thoughts on the way, on the path that it was supposed to be. you know I was raised that your mental is very important, and controlling your thoughts, positive and negative, is very important. And so sometimes it's scary when you feel like you can't control them, you know what I mean? And so for cannabis to come in a time of need, that is really like when me and cannabis kind of built our connection when my mom passed. I like I said, I've been in it since I was about 19, but from 22 on is when I said, you know what, this is gonna be what I do. I also, help. I was a foster parent for 5.5 years. And after working with children for 5.5 years, I learned the adults are the ones that need help because the kids just keep top copying the adults. So if
Yep.
we fix the adults, the kids will just have perfect adults to copy and we'll be straight. And so I transfer my focus from working with kids with bad behaviors to focusing on the problem areas in our society with adults, like drug addiction, um, gang violence, homelessness, abandoned buildings, things that are problem areas in all poor communities. And I came up with strategies to fix those things. And so one of the things I always said was, I wanted cannabis to have the credit for rebuilding the world, right? Because I feel like all the world need was a little bit of love, and that's what cannabis gives you, right? A little bit of love. And so I thought this would be a great place to start to build my community for changing the world. And it's funny, I'm my favorite, like the person I knew of the most and who I researched and everything like that, Swami. I his spiritual growing style is everything to me. Like even I practice that in my grow. I grow inside, and I still let my plants tell me when they need water. I let my plants tell me when it's time to harvest. You know what I mean? Becoming a ganjier has helped me hone in on those skills, but I've always practiced what Swami preached because I loved his style. You know what I mean? And also I love the history that him, Frenchie and Nikki share. You know what I mean? And anytime they talk, it's like they're telling decades of precious information you can't get back. You know what I mean? And so those are the people who who kind of got me into it. But surprisingly, some of the teachers I really, really was happy to meet. I was really happy to meet Patrick King, because when I told everybody what I was here to do, which was change, save the world with cannabis, he got up out his seat, he walked over and he hugged me and he said, "I love you, man." And the other day I was on a phone call with him and he said the exact same thing, because he just, this community has a hold on us. You know what I mean? Like it's that good feeling, and it's contagious. Once you feel it, you want to feel it again, and you want to keep that. You know what I mean? It's like unconditional love. You know what I mean? And so the my specialty, right? What do I want to bring to cannabis? My specialty is I went to school for accounting. I want to bring financial literacy to the cannabis space. I want everybody who's in the space to understand how to make money in the way that they're making money. And that comes with understanding your plan. So I specialize in helping people build business plans. The first one is the first 1 to 3. And then I teach people about expansion so they can start to grow their business, hire people, create more job opportunities in their communities. And so I feel like we have a lot of opportunities with philanthropy. There are a lot of people trying to help rebuild communities, not just inner city where I'm from, but legacy farmers, veterans who have been affected on wars, getting hooked on opium because they needed medical help in different countries that didn't have the resource America had. Then they come back here and we don't want to help them, and we label them drug addicts or homeless or something when they're really just people. And so I really like to bring that financial, because once you are okay financially, then you are in a position to help other people. We all want to help other people, but it's really hard to help when you can't help. And so I like to put everybody in position to help. And that's also why I started my charity Culture Change, so we could go around and we could help communities that need the help. Every community doesn't need the help. Some communities just want to participate in helping those communities in need. In Trenton, we have a lot of surrounding areas like Hamilton Township, Lawrence, Princeton, Ewing, Bordentown. All of these towns are run very well, and they do support what we're doing in Trenton. And so, you need that. You know what I mean? You need that outside support with good people who are going to help you create that change, because everybody isn't going to do it. Everybody's not going to drop what they're doing and come to the cannabis space. Some people love what they do and are going to continue to do that, but they support us. And so they prefer to donate, or they prefer to volunteer a day where they come out at a canna festival or something like that to show their support, as opposed to, the traditional styles of coming and buying or supporting, sharing on social media. So our industry is changing. We're becoming a real industry. And so the customers that we have is changing. The tactics that we use is going to change. How we view ourselves and how other people view us is going to change, because our industry is changing. And I want to try to help us and the people be better prepared for that change. And so I think the commonality, why the five of us make a great team, and why you'll be seeing us connect with other Ganjiers throughout the state is the commonality is we love to help, and we all see that the benefits of this plant and how it can help people in a multitude of different ways at multiple different ages. There, like Ryan was saying, there are young kids who can benefit from using this plant, and like Enos was saying, there are older people who can benefit from using this plant, and all of us are right in that middle range. So y'all can already tell this plant reaches everywhere. You know what I mean? And so
everywhere.
everywhere. And so our job is to help the plant reach everywhere, right? And we see the good it does, right? We know that if it wasn't for Napoleon Bonaparte going and defeating Persia, finding hashish, taking it back to France, there is no French Renaissance. There is no artistic views. There is no Aristotle and philosophies of higher thinking and learning because you don't have cannabis to give you those thoughts. You know what I mean? And so when you get the information that Frenchie and the information that Swami give you and you learn the history, you really start to understand the true importance of this plant. And that's truly, I think it's our job to show people it's more than just something that'll get you high. It will do that, side effect, you know, but it's deeper than that. It's connecting with you. But like I said, when you start to get into this, like cultivation, you become a scientist of everything. You know what I mean? You start to understand how all of this stuff works. And so that's the dopest part about being a ganjier. You become more of what you are, you know. And so now we all got the introduction out, and so now is the time for like I guess I want to say lightning round because we're coming up on the amount of time that we have. But last words, anything you guys want to leave our audience with, because you guys think it's important. You guys know we're going to have shows coming up like Mythbusters, the best products to use, not necessarily the best brands. There's a lot of brands that we support, and there's a lot of brands we don't know that we can't judge in a negative or positive way. But what we do is we do want to hold people accountable. We do want, if a company is going to market itself a certain type of way, we want to make sure that it's holding itself to that standard. You know what I mean? So, um, Logan, is there anything that you would like to close us off with from Indiana?
Man, support your local farmer. We're an
Hey,
agricultural state anyway, so like once we get this cannabis train kicking, it's gonna be pretty amazing. We've got some wonderful, especially like southern Indiana, we got some wonderful spots. But like in agriculture in general, support your local farmer. Go to your farmers markets. Um, I see every day, my agricultural friends and people in that industry just it's rough. It's rough out there.
mm,
Everyone thinks cannabis farmers make a lot of money, and you talk to them, and then they don't. Most of them are not making a
nope,
bunch of money. So
Not
nope.
no more.
yeah, support your local farmer. Learn where your weed's coming from.
That's it. Appreciate that. That's a valuable thing. Support your local farmer. It's just as important as understanding your local politics, right? Like local is everything. That is the thing that affects you the most. Your locale, your community, the things right near you that affect you every day. So it's very important that you understand which grower processors are near you. So Ryan, I'm gonna go to you next, brother. Is there any last words you want to give us before we head out?
Similar along the lines of Logan, so support your local farmer, but become your own local farmer. Start growing your own food. Grow some potatoes. Put some seeds in the ground. Develop a relationship with where
Mm.
you came from. We exist because there's a 6 inch layer of topsoil on the ground and it fucking rains. That's it. That's why we exist. So go back to basics, learn the fundamentals, because the more you can take care of yourself and develop that relationship with this plant and any other or any animal companion that you can, the more you're going to learn about yourself and how to exist better in this world. That's
Oh,
definitely what I've learned a lot. So yeah, thank you,
that's
Larry, for and everybody else here for putting this together, man. I really appreciate
uh,
all your guys' time. We've been building this for a long time, and it's really cool to see it come to fruition. I love all you guys. Yeah.
absolutely, man. Ditto, brother. Ditto, man. And thank you, man. This team wouldn't be the team without you. Enos. You got any last words for us, man? And I know you're gonna give us some jam pack. So what you got
Uh,
for us?
um, yeah, actually, I was thinking about that. I was like, yeah, what can what can I say? What can I say briefly? um, the community is really, really important to everyone. Without community, humans wouldn't be here. Cannabis has proved itself time and time again to be like the glue that pulls together so many different communities.
And
So, cannabis community.
that's it, man. And Kelly, do we want to leave us off with some words?
Yeah. I was just thinking, just ask any and all questions to like your local bartender. Not all of them will have like level knowledge of like a certified GA, but hopefully they do have some knowledge and have research but and also they have like tried a lot of products, so there's that too. But yeah, just keep having discussions and like yeah, I agree with everyone else. Like just support local Fulmer as well and community and all that. Yeah. So yep.
That's it. No, it's really that simple. You know what I mean? Like ask the questions because the things you don't know, other people know. You know what I mean? So people, please take that advice. Ask, ask, ask. All right. But for me, the last thing I would end off with is um my main purpose for the Ganjier Society, for my charity, for everything that I'm involved with, is to do one thing, and that is to help end poverty in three different ways. That's financially, to help people make a little bit more money. That's mentally, help people learn a little bit more information. And that's emotionally, help everybody feel a little bit better about who we are and what we're doing here. All right. Because everybody's purpose is important, but it's even more important that you figure out what that purpose is. So I appreciate all of y'all being a part with me on this because this plant is everything. It's how we got here.